Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 10,000 Roads to Financial Independence. Today it's a very special episode for me. The League of Extraordinary Doers is our episode 1 of this. Today, we're going to be interviewing Arron Renfrew, who is have transitioned from a massive profile of single-family residential holding more than 100 units himself to commercial real estate, commercial large apartment real estate investing. It is quite a journey for Arron. And so welcome, Arron, to our show today.
Hey, thank you, Elisa. I appreciate the invite. When you asked me to be on the podcast today, I put everything aside because I wanted to be here. This is a great platform you have.
Thank you so much, Arron. And so, Arron, tell us a little bit about your single-family investment and your quick transition into multifamily.
Great. So I'm always looking to grow, and not only grow my portfolio, but also my mindset and my way of thinking. So I'm always looking for new challenges and new ways to do what I do. So I've had a investment background in real estate for the last 25 years. As you mentioned, several hundred individual units in 1 to 4 units and some rooming houses, some basically smaller deals. And the transition for me to go from that to the larger syndications where you're buying 100, 200, 300 units at a time was really one of mindset switch. And it's not a big mindset. It's just a slight different way of thinking that really kicked it into gear for me to be able to take that next step and go into the transition to the syndications.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for more information about Arron's personal story of growing his very successful residential holding business to a massive empire today, you can check out his other episodes on 10,000 Roads to Financial Independence. We had a whole episode interview Arron about that. But today, Arron's here to share specifically the mindset an investor needs to be equipping themselves with, especially coming from the small multifamily or single family holdings, right, Arron?
Yeah. So I think a lot of investors starting out or at a smaller scale are not only starting out and at a smaller scale because maybe they're starting out, but also because of the way that they're thinking. So the mindset shift for me really comes down to a couple of key shifts. And I'll start off with the number one shift for me was growing up. It was always, if anybody can, I can. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things and how I think they should be done. And the idea of trusting others and teamwork and building a team, very difficult. And when you go from managing a couple hundred houses, you can have an assistant and that kind of thing to help accommodate that. But the transition into a syndication, you have to have a team. Like I literally cannot manage a several hundred unit apartment building on my own. So that mindset of shifting from, okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves. If anybody can, I can. In fact, I think I remember telling you on one of our earlier deals together, if I'm not mistaken, that one of the reasons I wanted to grow my portfolio size so quickly is because I wanted to grow out of that very mindset that was holding me back. Yeah. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I feel like we talked about that. And growing out of that mindset, if anybody can, I can, I'm the only one who can do it right. I'd rather get 70 or 80% out of the other people that are around me than get 100% of just me. Right. Does that make sense? So getting that mindset away from doing everything myself, you have to get there. And the ironic part of it is my first, say 300 doors doing it on my own versus the next 300 that I would do through syndication. Yeah. The first 300 doors, say, took me 15 years. Yeah. The second 300 took me 15 months.
Wow.
Like, boom.
Yes.
And it's not like I sold everything that I had to jump into it. It was just a mind shift. It was the shift of thought of what is a deal, what compromises a deal, and how to structure it and put it together. You would think that doing these large syndication deals are more difficult. And while there may be some key technical points that are more difficult, overall, you're doing it as a team. So it's so much easier.
Yeah. So you're leveraging other people's on the resources. A team, it
Hmm.
seems to be a big mindset shift compared to the single family. You're the owner, business owner, as in Rich Dad and Poor Dad Courtroom will tell you. You're kind of on that. What was it? The bottom left hand
The S
corner.
quadrant,
Yeah, the S
yeah,
quadrant, the
where
small business
statistically you
owner.
have the chance of dying 5 years earlier than every other quadrant.
Yeah, and then you're switching to kind of the large business owner because apartment syndication is still active job but you're now kind of building the business.
Hmm.
And then also you're transitioning your asset potentially into the investment side by passive investing or basically by having create this passive income coming
Correct.
using the syndication. That's awesome. Tip number one then is basically team sports. Think about singletons to team. And then what other, mindset shifts that have you explored and that kind of contribute to your quick success doing that transition into the large multi?
So it's kind of back to mindset, but and that if anybody can, I can mentality of control. When you're doing larger deals, you have to let go of some control. And part of my control was I've always invested in Seattle.
Hmm.
Actually, before I got into the big deals, I did do some commercial properties in submarkets of Seattle, but for the
Hmm.
most part, just Seattle because of control, afraid to lose control or be out of control or whatever my control hangups were.
Right.
So now I'm open to 50 states as opposed to Washington State and more succinctly Seattle.
Yeah.
And when you open up to the opportunities that are out there and you're willing to fly to a destination or travel or trust a team, I can be invested in multiple states and not lose my brain.
Hmm.
And there's so many more opportunities if you're willing to go to where the opportunities are, other than trying to force an opportunity into the location you're at.
So you
So
become
that would
more of
definitely
a,
be the second thing.
yeah, so it's kind of like almost changing from landlord to a investor mentality. Again,
Exactly.
from that small business to now the best quadrant, which is the fourth quarter over there, the right hand downside, the investor quadrant.
Right.
And
Right.
then as
Yeah.
investors, you're looking at diversifying your portfolio. And hence not being singly draw down. There's still benefits to be deep in the pocket, but essentially you're kind of
There
helping diversify that.
There are. I mean, for example, there's not many people that probably know the Seattle market better than me. But with that said, if I can go to another market that I know well enough to know the fundamentals for why I'm going to invest there, then I'm going to go to that market now. And
Right.
that's something that you're probably most people aren't going to do as a smaller mentality or smaller mindset and controlled mindset. So
Hmm.
getting the idea of teams and letting go of that control and also the control of physical location is another key point for me.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Now, other things that you would like to share, other mindset things, or the benefits of investing in single family to multifamily. Like, what are some differences that you noted when you're investing as a result?
So having been a real estate investor for 25 years, I've been in the business a long time and been exposed to a lot. One of the things I've been exposed to is cold calls, people calling me trying to get business,
Right.
specifically from accelerated depreciation specialists.
Uh-huh.
And when I was in my single family mindset, I get those calls and I hear, oh, $17,000 to do a cost appreciation analysis. Yeah, yeah, okay, bye bye. I would be like, that's expensive. I don't really understand what you're talking about. And it sounds almost scam worthy. You want to charge me so much for that.
Right.
So I get into syndications and start seeing the value of is it appropriate to bow to the K1? I now love K1s and the
Yeah.
power that they create so that I can not avoid taxes or not get rid of taxes, but control when I pay taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. What does K1 stands for?
That's just the little thing in the corner of the paper that my accountant gives me. Do you know
Yeah.
what it stands for?
Yeah, I think it's basically the tax form that you get from partnership returns.
There you
So
go.
as an
Yeah.
investor of so for our listeners, just to kind of get into a little deeper, it's basically a K1 forms that you received because you're invested as a part of the LLC. Now, in a lot of larger syndication projects, you are holding projects with your partnerships LLC. And so as a result, as a general partner or a limited partner, you get a negative K1 comeback or K1 oftentimes are negative. And that's kind of what Aaron's talking about over here for cost segregations and etc.
Yeah, the ability to plan my taxes and that mindset shift. Again, going back to the single family, the accountant advice is always, "Oh, you don't want to pay taxes? Don't make so much money." Ha 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 ha. And they laugh it off, which I'm like, how much am I paying you for this advice? To, okay, well, now we've got some tools and some strategies. So how much in taxes do you want to pay this year? X amount. Okay. Why do you want to pay X amount? Do you want to pay more? Do you want to pay less? It's a discussion as opposed to, here's your tax bill, right? So being able to defer taxes and take that money to invest now to get the growth now is just, I'm getting chills. It's awesome.
Great.
It's totally awesome. So
that's awesome. Do you have a ballpark number that you wanted to share with our with our viewers or listeners on like, hey, like for someone who's making like what tax you were paying before? It can be a factor as well. I know like financial data may be sensitive to share. I don't know if you mind.
I mean, I don't know how detailed to get, but let's just say it went from 6 figures a year to much less than 6 figures a year.
Gotcha.
Much less.
Much less, yes. And then for some other listeners and viewers over here, there is possibility to pay zero taxes. I would just say, and then there's articles and etc. we have written around this area as well. And then you can also contact Arron for some more information.
I'd be happy to share that. It's just, you want to be careful in a podcast what you share too much, because I think people would think, oh, they're doing something wrong or it's a scam or whatever. So yeah, one-on-one, I'd be happy to share in more detail for sure.
Perfect. So awesome. So so there's some tax benefits that people should be shifting their mind on, and the mindset, getting uncomfortable to be comfortable, getting out of themselves, putting themselves out there, learning something new. Other things that you have noticed, in terms of, I guess, time management, you probably get a lot more time back. Other things that you have kind of noted, investing from, your previous life invested in mostly single families, the small multi, to the large multi, the biggest difference in terms of lifestyle changes.
Yeah, can I sort of touch on lifestyle, but twist it a little bit?
Yeah.
So for the longest time, and I still operate a little bit, I call the journey from single family investor to large multifamily investor, there's this period of time that you hit where you're a tweener. And I don't know if people are familiar with the term. I don't know if I might have made it up. But what I mean by tweener is when you get to a certain size and say more than 5 mortgages as a single family investor, the FHA guidelines for what they'll loan you on, you suddenly have leprosy and they don't want to lend to you anymore.
Yeah.
So a great example of this is I'm trying to do a refinance on my home right now, and I'm trying to get a cash out of just under $1 million. I'm into my 8th month of trying to provide the documentation and go through the processes and they want to check this document and that document. And it's just brutal. And I've talked to a lot of people. I'm not alone in that grinding over the cheese grater, raking over the coals, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then this last week, one of the syndication deals that you and I are in together, I signed on a very large loan, like 40, 50 times what I'm trying to get on the single family side. So it's just so amazing to me when you get a part of a team and a system that gets you out of that single family. You know what, quite frankly, Elisa, single family has become harder than the big deals, which does not seem logical, especially for any of your listeners that are thinking, oh, wow, these guys are doing something magical.
Right.
It's a skill set, sure, but the systems are in place to encourage people that can no longer qualify for the first-time homebuyer loan or whatever that category they're trying to shift you into.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot easier. So It goes back to your lifestyle question of, would I rather continue to do deals where I'm hunting for documents and bugging my accountants and lawyers and everybody to pull all these documents together to try to fit into a round peg in a square hole, which I no longer fit? Or would I rather be in a syndication where what I'm doing fits and makes sense, and they can look at a balance sheet and be like, oh yeah, This guy's been doing this for 25 years. He never misses a payment. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, we're going to risk money with him because it makes sense, not because we
Right.
check some box over here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
lifestyle wise, less stress, more ease, more freedom.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Aaron, today for sharing us the tip and your journey coming from a very successful single family portfolio to a large multifamily portfolio, the learnings that you have over there. I think all the mindset information that you have shared, tax benefits, as well as leveraging other people instead of just leveraging the money, is a huge takeaway for us. And thank you so
Mhm.
much for your time on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing. It's not only leveraging people like their skill set and their time, but it's also we're all like making money together. And
Right.
what is it, the Buffett quote, a rising tide, right, raises all ships, or whatever that is. We're
Yeah.
all going up together. So it's like leveraging people's time, people's money, and they're leveraging my time and my money. And it's like, we're growing together.
Right. Exciting to actually create a community, like a very exciting
Yes.
community together. And
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a win or lose situation. You can totally
exactly.
create a win-win situation because that's more abundance mindset. Yeah. Yeah. So love all you said over here, Aaron. Like always, you just have a really great way to kind of concisely, describe something and then help us kind of really level set over there. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Elisa. Really appreciate the opportunity. Anytime, just let me know.
Yeah. And then for Aaron's contact information, how does people contact you, Aaron, to kind of learn about more about what you do?
Best way to contact me, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the different social media platforms. Basically, you could Google me. I'm the only Arron Renfrew out there. Arron.net is probably the easiest way to get started. Arron.net. That's the
Uh-huh.
shortest, easiest, concise way to put it out there. But
Awesome.
yeah, we'd love to connect with anybody and chat with them about the journey. It's been awesome, and I would love to see other people follow along because it's the good side. It's the
Yeah,
good thing to do.
definitely. Definitely. Awesome. So we'll put all these resources on below in the show notes.
Great.
And we really appreciate your time today, Aaron. And then we'll look for more success come from you. Yeah.
Can't wait. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.